Welcome everybody. So this is Women's Only Wednesday. Of course, men and everybody else in between are more than welcome to listen into the conversation. This is the second, was it the second or the third? No, I think this is the second Women's Only live that I've done. I did one before, which was hilarious, and TikTok shut it down. Which does tell me something, because you can spout the most horrendous homophobia on here, the most horrendous racism, the most horrendous ableism, the most horrendous discrimination, and yet me having a panel with just women got shut down, and I got an account warning last time. So we have to see how this one goes. I want to know if women are ready to move into a world where it's run by women again. We've obviously seen that men, once given the responsibility, they have not actually considered in the emotional side of what it takes to actually run countries or to run businesses. They are missing out a lot of people, and of course they're harming men in the process, which they don't seem to see. I talk a lot on my platform about the hierarchy of men. If you guys know or don't know, you know, there's the alpha, beta, blah, 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 blah. And it makes other men feel more insecure. And even men at the top do not have enough empathy and compassion for the rest of humanity. So having that kind of hierarchy has not worked. Hi, Water Goddess. Welcome, my sister. So this is what I'm talking about, and some of you guys know that I am a dominatrix, so I spent a lot of time working with men and seeing how they are and who they are in their most vulnerable forms. And they've of course told me that they don't like the world that they live in, but they need to have more honesty out there in the real world about what the world should be looking at like, which is of course women being in charge and women being the lead. So when men are just basically throwing their dicks around and saying that they built everything, they're not taking enough time to look upon themselves and realizing that they don't actually have enough for themselves as well. They are resting on the reputation of other men that have come before them. And that's quite embarrassing. It should be embarrassing. I'm good, Water Goddess. I'm really good. And I find myself, and the last time I had a live, actually, I did talk about how kind of disappointed I was with women and them not actually understanding their true power. Not enough women understand their true power yet. And I have had to have a go at some women recently, yesterday, because I'm like, why are you on this app fighting people when there are so many things that we need to be thinking about in terms of what we want humanity to look like? Because it is a very serious time right now. There's no room for petty squabbles and infighting. Like, really, if you guys are in the UK, you know I talk about the Human Rights Act, for fuck's sake, you know. This is serious shit. UK top baddies, hey, it's the London white boy that you spoke to before when I had to prove I was white. Yes, I remember you. I remember you. Yes. You're very much believing in the power of black women, which of course is correct. And as humanity has always shown, that black women have always led the way. And this Women Only Wednesday, of course, is for all women. It's for all women to join and to share and give their voices, and of course for men to support this idea and to really tell us exactly what you think about the world and how you see it, whilst being able to reflect upon yourself. Because like I say, it is very silly to hear men constantly go, well, we built the world. And I'm like, yeah, but is it working for ya? Is it working for ya? It's not, is it? It really isn't. That's mine. So at the moment, actually, I'm dog sitting. That's my dog barking, I can tell. And I have to look after two other dogs. Milo! He should be just now. Yeah, I'm looking after two other dogs. My neighbours have gone away, and so I have 4 dogs in my garden now, and I have 1 street dog that I kind of look after. So yeah, this is where I'm at the moment in life. And this is what women do. We love, we nurture, we care, we protect. So why wouldn't you want a world that's actually run by women? That would be my question, because that is more inherently our nature and our being. Renee, are you there? Yes, Renee, are you there? Renee?
Yeah.
Hello, my lovely. How are you? It's been a little while since we've spoken.
Yeah. I'm good.
You okay? Good. So this is my Women's Only Wednesday. So again, it's just kind of random conversations, things that are on our mind. What do we see about the world? What's going on in our lives? What do we want to see more from women? This is just how we are discussing at the moment. Is there anything on your mind, Renee? Anything on your mind that you want to discuss?
Not necessarily. Not really.
Okay, so let's talk about then.
I was thinking.
Oh yes, go on.
Oh no! I've lost it. Never mind. You continue. You tried. You prompt me, and then if I think of something, I'll tell you. But for now.
Okay, sure, no problem. Water Goddess in the comment section says, a man told me babies can manipulate people. I'm so tired. Like, this is a fragility of man, and it is very frustrating that we do live in a world where we have to talk about men. Like, I would love to have a point where we don't actually have to talk about men. But imagine being so weak of a species that a baby has more power over you and more control. But we definitely, of course, see that in relationships, right? I don't have children, but I've seen it, and I can talk about my own mother and father a little bit, about how, when the children come along, the man is just like, well, I'm not the baby anymore, so I have to be like, rah, 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 rah. So, it's really ridiculous. T for Truth, good to see you, my dear. Are you well?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm lovely, thank you. I'm lovely. Luis in the comment section says, Louis says, building the world is not only built by men, it's a combination of both, hand in hand, IML. Yeah, exactly. This is the thing where men only see sort of physical structures as how one builds. They think because they build a house and it's something that they can see with their eyes, they think that they built the world. Like, no, women are the ones who are actually raising you. We are building humanity. That's what we're trying to do. Like I said, we're loving, we're nurturing, and we're also creative. And the reason why you actually have buildings the way that they look is because there's always like a feminine input into it. Like, women and feminine energy creates the beauty in world, because otherwise if it was just masculine energy, everything would be grey, bland and boring.
What's really interesting is a lot of the so-called infrastructure that men say they built, these are things that people lived without before, and no one asked them to build.
Yep. Exactly.
Especially when you're talking about the white men who say they built the country that, which is not true, because they got people to do the labour for them. And then they took the resources from the infrastructure they built out of the country. And then when they left the country, they basically left that infrastructure useless to use. And it was the people themselves who actually had to then develop that structure themselves. So that people say, we built, white men built all the railways. We're the one who gave railways. We gave the infrastructure to these countries. But then all the money they made from that infrastructure, they did not pour any of that into the country, so they can't take credit for that. And then when they left, they left those railways essentially useless. They were unable to work them. So when they left, who do they think got them up and running again?
And they took the wealth as well to be able to continue the upkeep of these railways in the lands as well. So yeah, it's honestly ridiculous. And this is why the problem is that they really just they function on ego too much. That's it. It's all in the mind. It's all in the past. They're not living in the present. Dan says, I'm personally looking for a relationship with someone like yourself, a female-led. When it comes to men, and actually, so it's obviously not going to be me, Dan, so I'm going to just literally say that right now. But if you're looking for a female-led relationship, you have to, and I've spoken to you before, you're not ready for a female-led relationship. Like, you're really not. Men, you have to do a lot of work a lot of work. Ascari, first of all, this clearly says women only Wednesday. Men are welcome to listen in. So please, men, do a bit of reading, do a bit of sitting, do a bit of listening, and not want to try and talk for a minute. Okay, no talking, just talk in the comment section. So when it comes to a women-led relationship, me personally, and I feel like Best of the Fruit and Veg says you are the one that needs to read, spelled R-E-E-D.
How ironic.
Do you want me to teach you how to spell, considering you can't even read what you wrote? It's spelled R-E-A-D.
How embarrassing.
R-E-A-D.
Shove in the foot.
It's just embarrassing. Like, literally, no one's coming here and attacking you, best of the best fruit and veg. No one's attacking you. So why do you feel like you have to attack me? And then you can't even fucking spell? Do you want attention today? Because that's what a lot of you want. You're very lonely in life, so you need attention. Anyway, back to this female-led relationship. So women on the panel, I'd love to hear your input into this. Like I mentioned, I'm a dominatrix, so I'm used to actually having very submissive men around. And a lot of them still can't really handle a dominant woman, I'll say. They still think of it in a very much of a fantasy mind, and how it translates in the real world. A lot of them still aren't confident enough to let a woman lead. And me personally, I don't want to lead. I've been in relationships where it's not been something intentional, but it's been something that has been the case because men aren't leaders. And so I felt myself so frustrated having to make all the plans and to make sure that all the bills are paid and to make sure that all the holidays are planned. Like everything. So I'm like, what's the fucking point of having a man around? So I'm just like, you stay at a distance and you give me the money and I will be by myself. That's what I prefer. What's that deep for
men aren't men anymore. They're either toxic, they've got toxic masculinity, or they're just really disempowered, weak, spineless, men. They're not chivalrous anymore. They're not gentlemanly anymore. They're not strong and powerful anymore. They can only be toxic, and they think that's being strong. So, but is there something that's obviously gone wrong in the Western culture to bring them to this? And women, obviously, we've become strong, independent. But then is that also demasculating them? Because they don't know how to handle. There was a poll type thing that I saw the other day, and it said that how many men want strong women, and it was literally like, I think it was like 7%. So, they don't want strong women. They don't, because they're not strong themselves. They don't know how to handle strong women. And women want, obviously, strong men, but what they're getting is toxic masculinity. So we do have to address this. It is a very serious problem.
Yeah, because men are still in that old program, aren't they? They think that strength means just physical strength. Oh, I'm going to go in the gym and I'm going to bench press, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we need men to be mentally strong, have financial strength as well. Like, do you know where your money is going? Do you know how you're investing that money? Are you be able to look into the future? I've been in too many relationships with men where they can't even see past tomorrow. They're just like, let me blow the money today. And I'm like, yeah, but what if we want to go on holiday? Or what if we want to buy a house? Or what if we want to buy a car? What if we want to invest or do something else? And they're like, And the last person I dated literally said, oh, well, I don't have any debt. And I'm like, okay, but what savings do you have? Like, what plans do you have? And he was like, oh, okay. So how am I supposed to envision a future with you if you're not even envisioning a future for yourself?
But do you realise that we've got this stage through deliberate orchestration of the culture? Do you realise that this isn't just a coincidence? That they've used things like the music industry they've used things like, certain pushing certain cultures and lifestyles to glorify certain lifestyles, to promote this lack of respect between the two sexes, treating women like hoes, like physical objects only. They've done that deliberately.
But that's all. That to me, in part of Western culture, has always been the way. It has always been the way in Western culture. Like I talk about back in Africa, my motherland, where we did have respect. Of course, there were Queen Nzinga, Queen Nefertiti, Amarenas. We literally had matriarchal societies where women were leading, and they were leading armies, and they were literally sitting in their equivalents of government. We didn't have, and then we of course knew that there were also women who were spiritual women as well. So people in the villages and the tribes would come for guidance. They would come for nurturing. They would also know that if for example, a man's wife was having trouble conceiving, they could go to a particular woman. This is how our cultures were running until again it was this Western society and this Western influence, because they were spiritually lost as people. And Limitless has said this, women have lost their roles in modern Western society. Like you say, it is the Western influence, and some of us are still trying to get back out of that and to try and remove ourselves from that. Stu has said about drill music, that's just such a small part of the massive problem in the world. And Limitless says too many gold diggers, but you guys haven't got any gold, so what are you expecting us to dig for?
What do you think about the music culture that started, the gangster life, pushing the gangster lifestyle?
I don't think it pushes it. I think it's very much a case of, so for me personally, I was a financial dominatrix, and so bragging about money was a very important thing to do in my culture, really and truly, because we were the ones that had the abundance and we had rich land. It's like, this is basically our reparations. Look at the shit that we got back. And it was us enjoying ourselves again, enjoying the material wealth. But eventually, I hope that, and they come out of the mindset and said, you know what, I actually need to spread that wealth around community, which they do. A lot of people in that culture, they do what? They build up their housing around the area, right? They also put money into schools. They also start feeding children, so that still is part of the culture as well.
Can I just say,
got some things. Renee's got some things she wants to add first, and then Truth for Truth, you can come back in. Renee, yeah.
Someone said, how many rich women would marry a poor man? I think the issue, the reality is, most rich people do not marry poor people. Most people marry within their financial bracket. So the answer, Limitless, is that no, most rich, wealthy women probably would not marry a poor man, but the average poor man would also not marry a poor woman. A wealthy man would also not marry a poor woman, because most people marry and date within their financial bracket. Your guys' issue, you guys are calling average women gold diggers.
Yeah.
For going after, for wanting basic financial stability from average earning.
Yeah. Women with like 25 to 30 £5,000 a year salaries, and you having the equivalent, hopefully thinking that we're digging for gold. Neither of us have got gold. You ain't got gold, we ain't got gold.
but again, Limitless, I'm talking about statistically. Statistically, most wealthy people, men and women, are marrying other wealthy people. The only time you really see that going up is when it's extremely older man and extremely younger woman. But for the most part, people, especially if you're of the same age bracket, most people are dating within their financial bracket, and that includes rich men.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention something. You said something about female-led relationships. I think that men and women are socialized to be incompatible. We're emotionally socialized to be incompatible. And that's mostly because men are socialized to not see women as human beings. That's why men, struggle to read books about women, in the publishing industry. books written by men and about men do much better, because both genders read books about men, but only women are reading books about women, and that's because the male perspective is sort of the default human perspective. And I think I've heard this somewhere before, but women want men who don't exist yet, and men want women who no longer exist. Because what happened is that that's why we're socially incompatible. Because when women started getting rights, so things like marital rape became illegal, divorce became legal, and so on and so forth. Women moved on with the times, but men haven't. So women got their rights, and so they moved forward with the times. The men back then could not accept that women got their rights. So even though legally things changed, socially they continue to teach the boys and men below the generations below them the old way. So now there's a bunch of modern men expecting the old way because that's what their granddads and their fathers taught them.
Yes.
But they're not getting, they're just be given a woman just because they're a man. Then they go out in the world, and all of a sudden there's a completely different time period, and they're in a completely different time and period from women mentally, because the women moved on, but the men didn't.
This is why they're still asking for their grandparents. Like, they're like, oh, I want a woman who was like my gran or my mother. I was like, ew. It's like, you want a woman who can't stand up for herself because you're too weak. That's the thing. Like, men, if they built themselves mentally, they would find these kind of conversations very easy, but they're not doing enough self-work. Like, half of them are, yes, they've gone into themselves, but the other half are literally being like, oh, I need to be looking at Figgy Tate, whatever his stupid name is. What's his name again? The one who just got arrested? Andrew Tate? Andrew Tate, is that his name? Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate. Yeah. So they're looking at these people, these absolutely disgraceful, diabolical versions of men, because they have not had any really decent male role models for a very long time, a very, very, very long time. But the thing is, like, where there are no role models, men are supposed to become that role model, right? Like, especially if they've got sons. What kind of man do you want to be so that your son becomes a better person? Because what we see, especially on social media, right, is how volatile these algorithms are. If they get onto the red pill stuff, how easy it is to get sucked into the red pill, versus how much more difficult it is to find a man who's really caring for his wife and his children, and he's working and he's providing and he's building and he's nurturing and he's loving. Like, he's got all of those pieces of the puzzle together. It's harder for them to see, and it's more what we see as women, because we're like, damn, she's got that, I want that too. And of course, I'm just talking about heterosexual relationships at the moment, because that's what I am, heterosexual, so I can only talk about from my experience right now. But that's it. It's like, we have to see that fantasy because that's what's been in the movies as well. So they want to show us all this stuff when they should be showing the men. But of course, like you say, T for Truth, it is very much orchestrated this way as well to keep men and women separate. But I think it's definitely a good thing, because we are asserting our boundaries more, and we're not accepting, like you say, Renee, the old ways of life where it was legal to rape your wife or to disrespect your wife or to do all these terrible things. But I just want there to be so much more confidence for women to understand the kind of relationship that they deserve, not what society has told them that they deserve. T for Truth. If you got something you want to add now, and then I'll come to Water Goddess.
Yeah, the
T for Truth?
porn industry is also playing a huge factor in destroying the relationships between men and women, especially the younger generation. So, you know, when I was young, I had to buy a magazine to, you know, look at porn, and then it became easier online. And then now with the children, it's just, you know, they're extremely young, and it's just absolutely saturated. So they're now growing up expecting, you know, a normal girl to behave like a prostitute, and they're expecting a girl to you know, be sort of disposable, go from one to the other, and it's destroying their expectations of what a normal girl is, and normal girls are also
Yeah.
unable to obviously keep to that expectation, and it's there's a huge amount of depression in the younger generation, much more than it was with when I was younger.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because sex work and porn has been a part of human civilization. It's like the oldest industry. I think what's different now is that women are more empowered by it because they can monetize it, and I think that's what's causing men actually to regulate it, exactly, and to crash out. As somebody who is a dominatrix, and I've spent a lot of time with sex workers, I've literally seen the most confident women I've ever seen in my life that I did not see in my everyday life, and it's always been easy. It's always but it's always been easy as well to access.
These are children. I'm talking about children.
Yeah, but we've also had access. Yeah, as me myself, as a child, I also accessed it as well. Like, you find it. I remember back in the day when you had your old Nokia 3210 phone, and there'll be really pixelated porn on the phones. Like, I will admit, I did probably have a little bit of an unhealthy addiction to it when I was at university. Like, me myself, I did. But at the same time, like, everybody, I believe, has to be treated individually, because the things that I learned through sex actually managed to empower me and got my confidence level up to a point where I could find that I could actually use men for the way they needed to be used. I got my I knew how to use my body, I knew how to use my mind, and I could get the things that I needed in a patriarchal world without giving it away. Like, learning to have sex with people and then learning how to not do it, I could only do it by doing it, if that makes sense. Like, practice makes a woman perfect, in my opinion. Vishna, good to see you. Am I saying that right, Vishna? Says pendulum has swung too far, I believe. Which way do you think that the pendulum has swung too far? I think everybody, especially when you grow older, everybody needs a chance to learn and grow. So yes, in your 20s, or women in their 20s, or even men in their 20s, yes, they are more vulnerable and more susceptible to certain things. But you would hope that as they develop and that they learn, they will grow to understand that those things can empower. And I have seen also young people be incredibly empowered. The only people, of course, we don't have a good example of is people like Bonnie Blue, who clearly does not have good self-respect for herself or the people, because she's very much targeting young people, which is nasty. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm not okay with, obviously, when they're targeting younger boys and saying that they're, whatever the phrase is, I don't know what she says, but because they're just legal or whatever, that's not okay. But if you've got older people or people that are, again, like, sexually liberated or exploring their bodies and wanting to share it with others, this is when you kind of look at other people and say, you know what, as long as they're not hurting me, what's the problem? That's my opinion.
There's a big difference with an adult with a mature mind who's exploring their sexuality, and who I'm referring to children. It's literally, you can be as young as whatever, you're literally, they're watching I remember when my little nephew, they basically come out the womb and they can use the mouse, and porn would come up. And the parents had to put their locks in, etc. But now they've got phones, and on their phones, obviously parents do as much as they can. But from what I'm hearing from young people who are coming out the other end, they're saying that they were exposed to it from a very, very young age, and it's child abuse. It's basically child abuse. So if someone was exposing themselves to a child, that person would be arrested for a criminal offence. But this is what they're doing. This is what's happening on their phones, on their laptops, to little children, as young as 4, 5, 6 even. Yeah. It's that.
But again, this is the parents' responsibility, because sex workers are not putting their content out for kids to watch it, clearly. And the fact that there is that under 16 ban now on social media, I would hope that a lot of it, of course, is being filtered out in that way. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, this is literally about women and men, and as parents, their responsibility and societal responsibilities, because like, you know, in the shops they put the stuff at the top shelf, so you don't see it, it's all covered up. You know, you've got the sex shops, you can't see anything from the outside, you know. So we do what we can as a society to protect children, but like life, you can only do so much. You can only do so much. Like, and children have curious minds. Like, my personal story, I know in my family my parents did watch it, but I went to find it myself. Myself. They hid it. Me, I had my own curiosity and my own mind when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like fucked up my brain. I think I'm a pretty cool person.
Yeah, the thing is, we did that, and it was available, you know, in a very sporadic way. Now, what I'm saying is, it's available on tap. It's completely different. So when you're literally bombarded with that on a daily basis, and it's available, you don't, you know, to you can access it easily. When I was little, you know, it wasn't so easily available. And but now it is, and it's free, and it's available in the privacy of your bedroom.
Yeah, I get that.
It's
not hard to control your kids, because I have children myself. I do criminology as well, and there is paywalls, and it is important that you monitor your kids online. So I have a Google account, and my kids are on a Google account, so I can decide what they can watch and what they can't watch. My youngest is now 14 and my eldest is 22, and it's my responsibility to have these conversations with them and say, look, that stuff you access there is not real. It's not real life. Do you have any questions? Come to me. I've got the access to the books that they teach them at school, so I know what they're learning, and I can engage and talk with them and say, it's not embarrassing. Sometimes I'll feel embarrassed if you say something, but we can work through it and understand what's going on, and that's healthy. I want my kids to have a healthy relationship with people and understand the right behaviours, what you use, because there's no concern about accessing the content. It's about coercion, domestic abuse and stuff like that. These young children are growing, and they can easily engage in that, and that's what we've seen in research as well, historic research, where men haven't understood that they've coerced a woman into these areas. So it's really important to be open-minded and monitor your children. Very much.
Thank you, Emmy Crime. Yeah, I really like what you said there. And even the comment section, Anachronista, I remember, yeah, the Littlewoods catalogues, if you remember, like they were just turned to the the lingerie sections in the Littlewoods catalogue. It was like, yeah, it was like yeah, I did. So you see, this was our minds. Like, we have this natural curiosity about this, and yeah, it is definitely in parental responsibility and societal responsibility, as we said. And I really think where the UK lets itself down is, I mean, I don't know if it's like this now, but definitely when I was a kid, like, sex education was diabolical. It was so bad. It was like, draw a baby, like, yeah, okay, and now what? Or put the condom on the cucumber. Yeah, and what? Like, what's next? What else is there? Nothing. And so then you do get more of a curious mind, and you do try to experiment a little bit more. So I believe that too, Emmy Crime, is the more honest and open we can be about these things and not shy away from these things, there is less chances of falling down the wrong paths, that it does become harmful and it does become a problem as well. And there's this guy on social media, I don't know if you've seen it, I don't know what his name is, but there's this American guy. He's a teacher as well. He's got blonde hair, and I think he's got a kid. But he always goes into classes and he's talking about, is this okay? And the kids are like, yeah. Does this look okay? Yeah. And he's talking about all different kinds of sexualities and consent between boys and girls at a very young age. I don't know if you've seen him. Like, he's got blonde hair, sort of like brown roots. Have you seen him?
No, I'll have to look him up. That sounds brilliant.
He's brilliant, really, really good. And so he's really teaching the youth. Anachronista, you think you've seen that? Yeah, he's absolutely wonderful. And that's it. It's like we can, and the way that the world is, like you have rightly said, of course, Teeth for Truth, it is very much at our fingertips now. We access things faster. Kids have got things much faster. But the way that we can help them process what they're seeing is through conversation. We cannot censor everybody from everything, and we cannot censor the world, because it is so just to be seen and just to be experienced. So yeah, if I had children, then I would definitely be having those conversations as well. And yeah, Crow Girl, kids are smarter too. I mean, we can put as many firewalls up, but children have a natural curiosity more than we do. So if they wanted to find something, they would. So at least if you're prepared and be like, and if they say, oh, mummy, daddy, or however you identify, I've seen this online, you could be like, oh, okay, well, this is just normal. It's two people. It's showing how much they appreciate each other, and they're happy, they're excited, they're having a bit of fun. So that's not for you quite yet. So let's not look at that again, because it's not quite right. It's not quite time for you to be looking at that yet.
And like you said, with consent, it protects them, because there's a lot of people online, and I've had to say, they might act like a young girl or a young boy, but you don't know. That could be a man. And don't ever give pictures. If you have given pictures, don't ever be embarrassed to tell me that you've done it, because I'm not going to be ashamed of you. We need to deal with that in the manner that go to the right sources and the right people. And unfortunately, laws are a bit grey there. But there was a guy who was going around manipulating children, getting pictures of them, and then bribing them, saying, if you don't do this, I'm going to leak all your pictures to your parents and stuff. So you have to have that open discourse with your children.
Absolutely agree, especially now. Goodness me, I get so scared. I say I don't have children, but the idea of being manipulated and blackmailed and bribed for, and we know that men, boys and girls do expose themselves online now. We do know that they do it, and they do it between friends, or they do it with their partner or their boyfriend or girlfriend, and then that one shares it with somebody else. Again, yeah, if parents were having conversations to say, don't do that, instead of just ignoring it, then we would be able to protect a lot more kids. Yeah. We got Bosch on the panel as well, please. Bosch, are you there? Oh, they've gone.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, well, I was just going to introduce them, because I don't know this person. I didn't know if they were male or female, how they identify, but they've gone down now, so I was just going to introduce them. But Water Goddess, what would you like to add, my dear?
Well, I heard a lot of things. And I think one of the most important things is, when we look at where we are in society, we need to go pre-colonially to see how they were living. Because what we think men are supposed to be or women are supposed to be, if we look at this to even 50 years ago, it is still under the oppression that we still live under now. It is not different. Sorry, T42, I heard you say, well, men used to be chivalrous. Chivalry is a guide on how to what's the word? Treat a horse, right? Because cheval is the French word for horse, and a chevalier is somebody who would treat a horse. That guide on how to be chivalrous is based on how you treat horses. And then they were like,
so does that mean that so that means he can still put shoes on my feet, right? he can still brush my hair. He can still give me a smack on the bum.
Give them a snack, teach them something, positive reinforcement. This is not based on humans, because men are not socialized to see us as humans. But even when they were being nice, what was that for? And who was it to? Very young women, to get them to marry them, so they were trapped, because this is all still pre-divorce, right? If we look at the music industry, something like twerking is so sexual. This was not sexual. This was just dancing. Right, but the society we live in has made it super sexual. So when this happens within the music industry, they're just promoting sex. No, this is not what this was for.
We've been shaking our asses in the churches, literally. If you know anything about Nigerian culture, the first time I saw a mother shake her bum, she had a hanky in her hand. Oh, I said, look at her move, look at them move. Yeah. Everything shaking, everything shaking. I said, I want to shake like you too, mummy. And that's it. But yeah, you're right. They just had to sexualize it because they don't want us to be as in tune with our bodies. This is the patriarchy. They don't want us to move. They don't want us to dance. They don't want us to have any joy or any fun anymore.
Right, not wearing a bra is apparently sexual. I don't like the incessant need to demonize things that are just normal and a part of life, and then hyper focus on them is how we got here. Because, like Fox said, like pornography has been here. We have found pornographic cave paintings. I don't.
Yes.
I understand.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
Yeah. So we also need to remember what it was like to be a teenager and developing and having that curiosity. And no, I don't agree that things need to be popping up if a child just clicks on Google. However, that is also the job of the government, right? China can't have access to TikTok, right? The government did that. So if we really want us to be safer around how these images are even accessible, we also need to talk to our governments. But while we do that, we need to demystify sex. We need to talk to our children about it because they're gonna do it anyway. I say our children, I don't have children.
Exactly.
Right?
I think part of the reason, I think part of the reason why I became so sexually free at university is because my parents didn't talk to me like about anything, actually, like nothing at all to do with life, really. I love my parents to pieces and I have a better relationship with them now, but wasn't taught really anything from them. It was just go to school, be good, do your homework sort of thing. And I just wanted to, like I said, I had a naturally curious mind. And you're right, if there's a problem and if there are not appropriate firewalls, then the government needs to do something about it. There needs to be these petitions. There needs to be parents going to their children's school in parents' evening and talk about these things and say, hey, this is an issue. Are other parents having the same problem? What can we do as a community of parents to make sure that our children are not falling down the problem? Because look at the problem with those three boys that raped those girls, for goodness sake, and then got off of it, a few months ago, whenever it was. That was absolutely diabolical. So where is the education from them? In the schools at least, because if the criminal system, the justice system is not going to punish these boys, where are the rest of the schools saying we're not going to have this in our playgrounds or in our fields on our watch?
Do you know what I enjoyed when they used to have Sure Start centres? Because that was the start of the community hub. You could get together, and that could have been an area where parents could have engaged and talked about stuff like this. Yeah.
What was it? Sorry, I missed that. What was that called?
Sure Start centres. So you used to find them on schools, and they were brilliant. They were learning life skills, cooking, how to manage your finances. And you could have added that there. That would have been so easy. But no, they got rid of it. Because we miss a lot of community. People talk about British values, but the community isn't what it is. That's what we've lost. It's more easier to hate each other, and I just don't like it.
Absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And the thing is, this has been happening for maybe like 30 years or so, because I've talked about when I used to go to youth groups and youth centres when I was a kid, and the funding was being stopped then. And every summer we had something to do, and then just more and more money is just getting taken away from the youth. But again, this is where parents do have to take a certain responsibility now, unfortunately, but also fortunately, I think it's a good thing, is that if you do see or do have a community of kids, and like it's happened a little bit in the street where I used to live back in the UK, they would get themselves involved in the community centre. So then they would know the kids in the street. They would know and be like, right, okay, let's go and do this after school. I know that we can go in the community centre and do this and blah, 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 because they had a benefit. They didn't have to pay for it, so they would make sure that there was some kind of after school club for the kids. So this kind of thing I think is really important. If there is people or parents out there that realise that there is a gap, it's like, how do I build community again? Because you can't trust the government to do it. It's how can we do it ourselves?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing idea.
T for truth, you got some things you want to add? T for truth. Hello.
Hi, I was wondering what your parents thought. Hi, I was wondering what your parents thought of your occupation now, when they were really strict when you were younger.
Yeah. Bless them, they dropped me off to a session the other day when I was back in the UK. So I think it's a bit easier. Yeah, I think it's a bit easier for me because I don't deal in penetrative sex with my clients, by the way, and I'm also not naked. So it's easier for them to process. If I wasn't, I'm sure they would find it a lot more tricky. When I first told them, oh, bless them, I remember I was so scared. I wrote a letter. This was probably about 10 years ago, maybe. I wrote it out in a letter. And my sisters knew about it as well. And they said, don't just give them the letter, talk to them about it so they can ask you questions. And I was fucking scared, T for truth. I cried so much in front of them. And bless them, they were so lovely about it. Like really so lovely about they just said as long as you're okay. And then my mum just said, well, I thought you were a lesbian, I thought you were going to come out. I was like, a lesbian? I'm like, really? Did I give those kind of vibes? Like, oh, I don't know, that's what my mum thought. Because I'm quite hello, I think you are maybe underage for this conversation, so I am going to drop you down. Relax. And my dad, what did my dad say? I can't remember, but it was nice what my dad said. And then a few months later, he sent me a video of a woman spanking a man, and he said, "Is that what you do?" And I pissed myself. Yeah. And let me tell you, my dad is Nigerian as Nigerian gets, and my mum is Grenadian from the West Indies, and honestly, they are just, they're cool about it. And even actually when I was having another side business, they were working with me on it. When I was like, okay, this is what women do, they were actually helping me with my website. My dad became my accountant for this business as well. So honestly, it was so much better than I imagined, because again, I had to develop the confidence to be able to speak to them about it, because of course they didn't have the confidence to talk to me about it, because I'm pretty sure they knew, so it was when I opened up and I spoke to them. But yeah, so I was in the UK last week and I said, oh, okay, I'm going to meet a client in a bit. They said, oh, don't worry, we'll drop you off and you just come back to the car when you're done.
Oh my gosh.
So we've come a long way.
Yeah, you've got a very healthy relationship, with what
now.
Okay. Not
we had
originally.
to work at it. Yeah, we had to work at it. It's taken many years. It was quite bad for quite some time. I didn't speak to my dad for almost 2 years. My mum and I now, she's semi-unblocked on my phone, but I have blocked her for a long time. But I can still call her, and she, there's still love there. But for a while, between my dad and I especially, there was no love. Absolutely not. But the universe gives certain people, I think, different opportunities to live and to. Beth, good to see you, my darling. Good to see you. I think for me and my dad especially, the universe has granted us a story where we could repair our relationship and actually become best friends. Like my dad now, honestly, it's night and day. Really, I call him about anything. I love him dearly. He's brilliant now. Yeah,
I think this is brilliant. What's missing, isn't it? Is the healing of the between really children and parents, and that relationship is then repeated. The trauma's repeated. So one of those things that we, as women, that we could probably do better. Not probably, but I think definitely do better. Is communicate. And one of the things that men fare very badly at is they commit, SE side. So they have a much higher percentage. Why is that? It's because they don't talk about their problems, whereas as women, we are good at talking to our friends and, just yapping generally. So communication is really important in, I think, transforming the basis on which the failure of men the way that they carry out their way of handling things. So, on a macro level, you can say that they don't communicate, and then when they do it with fists. and then on the micro level, and then on the macro level, you see that, what do? They just go to war. And this is something really fundamental in the patriarchal society that we're suffering from, in the most unbelievable ways. That it's, on a serious note, that women can and we need to look at what we can do to change. Because at the moment, when women do take power, they think they need to be like men. But really, we need to go back to how women used to be in communities. They were the matriarch. They were the ones that held everyone together, nurtured everyone. The children weren't brought up just by the mother and father or by single parent. They were literally brought up by the village. And these are the sort of principles I think that we need to really look at in valuing again, in aspiring to, because otherwise we're just really looking at things superficially. We have to really go to the foundations. And what can
absolutely agree.
How can
absolutely
we
agree. So some of the people here will know that I'm a spiritual person as well. I had a spiritual awakening 2 years ago, and that's actually what strengthened the relationship with my father. And in that, I was revealed a story that the reason why my dad was such a hard person is because it was supposed to skip a generation. So my dad's mother, so my grandmother, didn't have a close relationship with my dad. Therefore, he, of course, didn't have a close relationship with me. But one of my sisters is the only one with children, so therefore she had to look at my dad and say, well, I'm not going to raise my children that way, I'm going to raise them this way, right? So this is kind of a family story, and my dad has now become a really great grandparent, and he's learning from my sister how to be a better parent for me and my sisters right now. Like, that's why I say that he's become a better person. So sometimes the story doesn't happen in the way that you expect it to happen. It happens in a roundabout way. And I said, I'm in my 40s now, and I didn't ever expect that I would have a good relationship with my father ever again, because for the majority of my life, 30 years, 35 years maybe of my life, it was diabolical. So for those of you who don't or are estranged with your parents right now, sometimes things change and you just you don't expect it to change, and you're like, wow. But for those of you who have sadly, lost parents, because I've had this conversation before where I've seen people say, oh, that's really good, Fox, that you've got a good relationship with yours. I wish that I was able to rebuild mine. But this is where I do say again, if you've got children, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to learn from your parents the things that you don't want to do, and make sure that you have a really amazing, fantastic, because that makes you even better parent, right? You're more determined to do even better for your kid and to make sure that they have everything that you didn't have. So, because in a way, my parents did give me things that they didn't have in a really good way. They made sure that I was great at school, and they made sure that I could go on holidays and do all these things that they didn't get to do. They did that for me, which I was really grateful for, because I got to see the world in a bigger view. And that's what we're supposed to do for our children, is just keep doing better, because then we're raising really good children that of course turn into better human beings, which is better for everybody, because that's what we want.
Yeah, 100%, because my mum was very much an artist. She's not here anymore. But I was fortunate that I had an experience with a mother, which was a neighbour, and she was very maternal towards me, but it was kind of like a fumble. How am I going to be a mum? And I think the biggest thing that I learned is to apologise. When I'm in the wrong, apologise, because I'm teaching my kids how to behave. And take away my ego, because I'm not always right, and I've got something to learn from my children.
Hello.
That's what I brought from it.
Hello.
Okay. Apparently there's a lot of kids who want to come by in these conversations as well, which is interesting. Maybe because we're talking about children, we're bringing all the children to the conversation as well. They're like, you talked about kids? Are you talking about me? No, kids, this conversation is not for you. Oh, it's the school holidays. I forgot. Yeah. I forgot it's school holidays now. Yeah. So kids, you shouldn't be on TikTok and part of these conversations. You should be doing, having fun. Go offline, go play outside. You've got good weather now. Go and do that. The adults are talking right now. Yeah. I always think about my niece and nephew. about the things that I'm trying to build for them as their auntie, or even actually my neighbour. I'm looking after their kids, the dogs at the moment, and even their kids. One of their daughters has kind of a similar life story to myself. And the more that she's spoken as she's gotten older, I'm just like, you're talking about how I was as a kid. Like I've got ADHD, which is undiagnosed, but I know I have it. I've been through some assessments recently. And I also struggle with eating. I have some eating disorders as well. So how those kind of things have played into my life and how they've got something that I need to recognize as an adult. I was talking to her mother, who of course who was my friend. Mum's a friend. Talk about it. The daughter was saying some things now, saying, Alfred is one of the rare ones, yeah. So thanks for sharing that, Anaconista. So I was in an eating disorders group a few weeks ago, like 6 weeks, but now I'm moving into another group as part of my therapy. And yeah, talking to my friend about it and her daughter overhearing the conversations, this is what gets me to understand humanity more now. It's not about our age. It's about our stories and how they can connect. Because even my ex, right, who was older than me, so at the time I was maybe 38 or something, and he was maybe 40 or something. I can't remember how old we were. He was probably like 2 years older than me. I had more in common with his 7-year-old son than I did with him. Like this kid he had was amazing. Like he was so much more full of life. He was doing karate and he was exploring and he was doing all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is all the kind of shit that I'm into as well. And I look at the dad. The dad had no lust for life. He was not excited about anything. He was just like, ooh. And I was like, this is interesting dynamic. Because I like the dad. But until I met the kid, I was like, this is exciting. Like, why are you not as excited as your kid is? And when we broke up, I was sad. I didn't have a friend in the kid anymore. It wasn't about the guy. I was sad. I was so sad. And I was like, well, we need to have some kind of like closure, because I know the kid as well really adored me as well. And he also was friends with my little cousin who was a similar age to him. So they were like 5 and 7. So I knew that with me and my family going out of his life was going to be a little bit, difficult to cope with, because we gave him so much. We were like, come on, let's go to museums and let's go do this and let's go do this, because we had the same energy as each other. But let's say the boyfriend was just like, I don't know what I saw in him. I don't know. He was tall. and I'm a tall woman. I'm a tall woman. So I was just like, yeah, he's tall. Like, that's it.
Being there.
Yeah, you've been there too. Yeah.
Crazy,
so what you mentioned about your spirituality, that you were very spiritual. You became spiritual about 2 years ago, and that coincided with you healing the rift with you. I personally think it's not coincided. It's you becoming spiritual led to the healing. So it's really about when we go inwards, the healing happens on the outside. And that's another thing that's missing. So people think that you have to be religious to be spiritual. You don't. And a lot of people reject religion, and then they literally throw the baby out with the bathwater. They stop being spiritual, full stop. But, I definitely became more spiritual after I left my religion, after I, let go of the religion. I did a lot of research and realised also religions are man-made. And that's another thing that is probably overlooked in our material world, is spirituality. And that's why we don't have this inner confidence, this inner power. And we think that we have to have, material gain, and we have to be physically powerful in order to feel whole. But it's the inner spirituality that's missing.
Yes, most definitely.
So that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing that men are less likely to, delve into themselves, and women are more likely to delve into themselves. And not but much.
Tea for truth. T for Truth, your signal has gone a little bit, T for Truth. I've just muted you for a second because we can't hear you. If you get to a strong, I don't know if you're moving around, but it's literally just dropped, so we can only hear any other word. When you come back, I'd love to hear the rest of what you were saying. But Emmy Crime, you got, am I saying that right? Emmy Crime?
Yeah,
Emmy Crime? Emmy Crime, okay. Thank you. Yeah, what would you like to add on those
I
points,
watched
please?
what was really interesting because I'm a neurodivergent, so everything I've done, I'm like, the fool in the pack of cards. I'm like that. Everything's an adventure to me. I'm excited about everything, and I do it because I can. And then you're talking about that midlife crisis, and you're saying like these men get to this point, and they're like, well, what have I made with my life, and the house and the money, and I'm like, I've never had that. I've never had that where I think I've got my degrees, but I don't have to use them. My achievement is that I did them. That's what I'm happy with. Like, I've never had that. And I like inspiring other people. I don't need to do the big thing on the spotlight. I'd rather someone else be there and I'll be promoting them. I love that. But I didn't know that. I didn't know experience that. And I was like, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I mean, I feel quite blessed on my life journey that probably 10, 15 years ago, actually, funny enough, like a lot of these things started happening at the same time. So me becoming a dominatrix built my confidence enough to solo travel, and traveling was a massive part of my journey. Going to so many countries as a black woman, it was really important for me to see the world. And I've had such amazing experiences. Like, it's like 56 countries now or something like that. It went crazy. Even at some point, I was only at my house for half an hour before I was going somewhere else again. But it really, like I said, it needed to build my confidence up, because I didn't really have a lot of confidence when I was younger. It was kind of fake confidence. I was loud as part of being on the neurodivergent scale. I was always loud, like blah, 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 like I am now, still very talkative, but it was very false. So that when I got home, I'd cry, I'd be depressed, and I'd not feel right in my heart or in my soul. But there was, so I also had kind of I did CBT back in 2020. And that was kind of also a little bit part of my spiritual awakening. So I had kind of like a bit, like a little taster before I had the main event 2 years ago. So I got thankfully blessed with a personal trainer who, when they were speaking to me, they said, I think you need to talk to somebody. And I don't know what I said to that person. And he was like, I said, okay, yeah, let me go speak to somebody. Because I said to him, I just want to work out 4 times a week and I want to do this. I don't know what I said to this day. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. So prior to 2020, I used to struggle with overthinking a lot, and I was depressed for over 20 something years. But as I said, like, because I was very good at masking, it was just, everyone used to see me as the laughing person, the person who was always joking and loud, but I was just miserable as hell inside, really miserable. So CBT was just absolutely fantastic for me. Did it on the NHS. I did it for 8 months, and that was the start of me actually awakening even further, and really got me together as a person to kind of be like match the outside with the inside. And with neurodivergence, there is a lot of thoughts that happen on our heads that actually are quite normal, I have to say. But the funny thing is about being neurodivergent is because the world outside is fake. Right? The world outside is fake. People aren't as honest as they should be. People lie all of the time, and we're not like that. But society tells us that we're wrong. Society tells, like you've just said, Emmy Crime, that the world is so beautiful and magical and you can see beauty in everything. Because everybody else is stuck in the NPC program, they make us think that we're the crazy people. It's like, no, actually, we're normal. We're normal. Yeah, so, you know, and I feel like there's just so much misunderstood or not understood about being on the spectrum or being anywhere, because that's why it's called a spectrum, because generally actually we're all on it, but it's just where we are on the point of A to Z, and how we actually identify with that. But me, most recently, like I said, I've needed to learn more about me being on the spectrum, because it's affected my eating quite a lot. And like I said, I don't have a good relationship with food. I struggle with routine. I can't follow recipes. If I eat something, I'm eating it for every day for a week, and then all of a sudden I don't know what to eat anymore, and it causes me panic. So then I start binge eating, which is, the problem, which I recognized, but I didn't know anything else that was happening before then. So now I'm delving into why that's a problem and how I can manage these things. Same as well for you. Same. Wow, guys. Same.
I've got an eating disorder. I think I overate to begin with, which was the dopamine that I was getting from the food, and then it manifests into anorexia and bulimia in the end, which I've gone through CBT, extreme CBT they call it, to kind of overcome that, which I've stopped the bulimia, but you don't realise how much the neurodivergency affects that. So
Yes. Yeah, I had a diagnosis only a few months ago. I don't think I've told anyone here actually yet, but I got diagnosed with bulimia nervosa myself. And actually, when I was back in the UK last week, because I don't live in the UK anymore, I actually got selected by Oxford University to be part of a study that recognises that there is a connection between having ADHD and eating disorders. So they're actually collecting this information now. There's also a study that was done, I think it's an American study, talking about how even spirituality is even playing into a part of this too. So it's a good thing now. They're trying to connect all of this information, and bless the lady who did my report, she sent me yesterday, I think it was, and I read it. And even when I got my bulimia diagnosis, they tried to do it online before, and I said, I don't think you understand me. So they told me to come in, so I had to say, okay, fine, I'll come and fly back to the UK. They didn't know I was abroad. So I went back there, and then when they gave me the report, I think it was 5 pages, I cried my eyes out, because I was like, I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't know what. And then seeing that there is something wrong, it's like validation. And then that's when I got my diagnosis. And then even again now, this 2-page report, it's just such a beautiful thing, but also very emotional when you're finally seen. Yeah. It's really just. I don't want to ask you too many questions, Emmy Crime, because I don't want to get too personal if you don't want to get too personal.
I'm part in my journey, because I had it for 9 years, and 2 years I've been in recovery having therapy. And this year, because I say to people, when I went in, I went, will I be ever able to stop purging? And I didn't believe myself. I was like, I'm never going to be able to stop this. This is part of my routine. I'm addicted to it. I get high from it. I really enjoy doing this. And this year I stopped. So I had one relapse, but for about 6 months now, I haven't done it. Literally haven't done it. But you have that thing inside you where you go, I can't do this. I'm never going to stop. But you can, which is very validating for me. And when I relapsed, I was like, but I can still get on and not do it anymore. Oh my God, I can do this. So it was very validating, every experience I've had. So I don't genuinely get that triggered that much. And I'm on a health. Thank you.
Let's give a cheer for Erin Cry. This is, honestly. And that's when you have the therapy, you realise that it's not a relapse, because a relapse is when you think, oh my God, it's all done, all my hard work is done. It's no, actually, I just did it and I'm fine, and I can still carry on with my life, and the world's not over. It didn't crumble. It's okay. It's been able to manage that. And what's the word? It's catastrophizing, isn't it? What we do. Yeah, catastrophizing. It is trying to say that, everything is so bad. And that's how I was feeling before CBT, with my binge eating, which I still do now. It is just thinking, okay, well, you know what? I did that. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Yeah. I'm going to feel better about it. And I'm just going to say, I just did that. I don't even have to say tomorrow's another day, because I used to say, well, I'll start again tomorrow. Well, I'm not starting again. It is just I did something, and that's part of who I have to be right now. And let me try and manage the mental side of it, so then I can also deal with the physical side and readdress the balance and be like, do you know what? I am healthy because I eat really well, actually. I exercise. I walk all the time. I'm the fittest person I know. So why would I really feel bad about that? So everything is about balance in the mind, isn't it?
It is. It's finding that balance, and it is hard because you get that food noise in the back of your head as well, don't you? And it's my voice is going to be louder now. I've got a louder voice than you.
Yeah, that food voice constantly telling you, what should I eat? When should I eat? Shall I eat now? What's in the fridge? Shall we go to the fridge now? What's in the cupboard? What do we have to put on the shopping list? Oh my God, the noise. In my therapy session, I literally said, I'm so busy, I ain't got time to listen to that bloody food voice. Just can you quieten it down, like turn the volume down so I can do other things.
I was helping a friend, so I do overnight oats to make sure I'm getting right in the morning. And she was like,
stop, keep talking, no, keep talking.
And a friend was like, I don't know how to do the overnight oats. I feel really funny about the oats. And I was like, hang on, you can just do the yogurt. You don't have to put the oats in. You can just like do things slowly. Don't overcomplicate when it comes to food and scare yourself. Do you do the overnight oats as well?
I had to get it to show you. I do my overnight oats as well. This is chia seed, oats, flaxseed, a vanilla yogurt and a raspberry yogurt, and then sometimes I put like nuts on the top, whether it's almonds or walnuts or a granola on the top. Overnight oats.
Same.
Yes. That's so funny. And thank you as well, everybody in the chat section as well who opened up about Edie as well. Thank you. Really appreciate you. Yeah, this is a really lovely live today, ladies, and of course the gentlemen who are also listening as well. I've really appreciated the conversation. Emmy Crime, I'm going to follow you. So do you talk a lot on this app?
I do a mixture of stuff. I'm a very chaotic neurodivergent, so I'll do criminology and then I'll do injustices and then I'll talk about my eating disorder, so it's a mix. And I'll do lip sync. Why not?
I would love to hear you talk more around on this crazy platform we call TikTok. So I've just followed you, and I'll follow you from my other account as well, because this is my backup account, my main account. I'll also follow you. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to everybody as well who's come by today. I've really loved what we've talked about, and the fact that we've been sharing a lot, ending up, of course, about talking about eating disorders. I don't think I've delved into it as much. I've mentioned it a little bit here and there, but this is the most open that I've been about it online. So I thank you for sharing, Emmy Crime, as well, and everybody in the chat section as well, sharing your experiences too. Yeah, we're not alone in this world, guys and ladies. We are not alone in this world, and I really feel grateful that in social media, or on social media, let's say, we have a way to find each other, because it's not that easy in our everyday life, right? We have to just get on and do what we got to do, whether it's going to school or getting the kids ready for school, or we're going to work, or we're being with friends. And nowadays in life, it seems like a lot of friendships are very superficial. They're not really getting to the depths of where they need to get to, right? And I know as part of my spiritual journey, I had to remove a lot of the superficial friendships, because being on the spectrum, like we've mentioned, is that we're the more honest ones, and we want to have the deeper conversations, but the people around are like, you're weird, like I don't want to talk about this, I just want to have a laugh and I want to dance, and you're the funny person, so why can't you just be that? But then they don't want to be there for you in your difficulties. And so this is why the universe is now shifting us more online, so we can have more of these in-depth and better conversations, right? We can have much more knowledge sharing and validation, because validation is important, because otherwise the world is a very lonely place otherwise, isn't it? But again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I'm going to end the live now, and I really loved it. Thank you, Emmy Crime. Thank you for being here. Vishna, it is 12:16 a.m. It's time for you to go to sleep. Good. So those of you who are in the UK, it's 3:20 p.m. So I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And I will be back on tomorrow morning, which will be 7:30 a.m. GMT, which is my uncensored live Ask Me Anything. That one is usually quite chaotic, so this one has been quite nice. Tomorrow we're back to the chaos. Right, everybody, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Right, bye. Thank you, Every Crime. Thank you. Bye.